horizontal word in. I like to say twin day. That means let's go. Jambo, everybody. My name is Jess. I'll be your safari driver and guide through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Now I have a couple of safety reminders before we get started. First off, this is a real truck that I'm actually driving. There's no track whatsoever, just a road, and it's a bumpy road. For your safety, please remain seated at all times. It does mean adults and children, both when I'm moving and when I'm stopped. So if you have any of those little ones, they're allowed to sit in your lap for a better view, but they do have to stay seated in your lap. Please do not reenact the Lion King on my truck. I appreciate it. Keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle as well. And there's no eating, drinking, smoking, or vaping on the vehicle for the safety of the animals. Speaking of animals, if you do look above your heads, you'll see a safari spotting guide. That is going to help you identify some of the animals we may see. Just keep in mind, we might not be seeing all of those animals due to migration and sleeping patterns. But we usually have some pretty good luck seeing most of them. I will do my best to point them out to you, give you a couple facts about each one. Hopefully you learned at least one thing new today. Just gonna wait for clearance from the warden to head on into the reserve. In the meantime, get your cameras ready if you do want to take any photos, because we can see animals at literally any moment when we're out there. And I will not be able to stop for every single animal. They won't be stopping for us either. So if your camera has an action, sport mode setting, anything with a high shutter speed, I suggest you put that on. Alright, we got that clearance, we're gonna head on in. First stop's the little Ituri forest. Animals here are very shy and reclusive, and they use their camouflage to hide. Keep your eyes peeled, because I already see two species around us. On the left, they're kind of walking behind the bushes. Those are a bird called saddle-billed stork. Get their name for the yellow saddle-shaped marking that's on their bill. They're also 5 feet tall, so they're pretty large birds. On the right side of us, those are called okapi. Now the okapi, they have these stripes on their legs and dark colorations. That's great for camouflage to hide behind bamboo and bushes. However, those stripes are very deceiving. A lot of people think they're related to zebras. They're not. They're actually related to the giraffe. That's because their body shape is similar to the giraffe. They just have a shorter neck. And inside their mouths, they have a long prehensile tongue that allows them to grasp at the leaves of the trees and bushes. Alrighty, we saw 2 cool animals. Let's see what else we can find. Looks like a lot of the other animals haven't really woken up yet this morning. They still need their coffee. I don't blame them, I do too. We'll go a little bit deeper into the forest, see what else we can find. We're actually going to be heading over towards the Safi River. That's where we can find some aquatic animals. Rivers and watering holes, they're great places to find animals. Water is our most valuable resource, and the reason life exists at all on this planet. So we should be protecting our water resources just as much as our resources on land. Starting to see that river. Let's see what we can find. Ooh, if you look over on the right side, you may catch a glimpse of 2 sleeping Nile hippopotamus. Those are very large animals, friends. They can weigh upwards of 5,000 pounds. They're massive animals. See if I can find us some more as we move forward. They're kind of hiding behind that fallen tree. Hippos are very well adapted to their life in the water. They can hold their breath between 5 and 8 minutes at a time. You'll see a lot more of them here on the left side, all hanging out together, having a cuddle party. Now, even though they're very well adapted to life in the water, the only thing they can't do is swim. Yeah, hippos can't swim. They're 5,000 pounds of muscle, which sinks. They can't float. So what they do to move around in the water is they sink to the bottom of the river and use their legs to walk on it. You're also going to see those pelicans. Looks like they're in the middle of nest building, so they're getting ready for nesting season. These are pinked-back pelicans. They get their name because underneath their feathers, their skin will turn bright pink. That happens during mating season. So some of them do have a little bit of pink underneath the feathers currently. Some people say that they blush for one another. All right, and we're gonna cross over the river now. Make sure we're staying seated. Ooh, there is actually some Nile crocodiles in that water on the left side. They are hard to see. They are camouflaged to look like logs. I do see one's head off into the distance. They're very difficult to see though. Crocodiles also very well adapted to life in the water. That tail of theirs is very powerful for swimming. They also use that tail to jump their body length out of the water. And if you're curious as to what the length of a Nile crocodile is, on average it is 16 feet, and they can be bigger. So imagine seeing that jump out of the water. That's impressive and terrifying. All right, looks like we're gonna leave the forest in its entirety. We're gonna be going to our next ecosystem, the Savannah. And you're gonna recognize a lot of these animals that are out here. And one indicator we're heading towards the Savannah. It's not just that clearing up ahead, it's also this large tree on the right. This is a baobab tree. I promise you, this tree is fine. They're leafless 9 months out of the year. They get the nickname of the upside down tree. Their branches look like roots stretching towards the sky. We'll probably be seeing more of those trees as we go around the Savannah. I am seeing some animals out here already, and I'll do my best to get us closer to some of them. Now, the majority of the animals that you will see out here, though, they migrate over very long distances. So this is essentially a highway for these animals, because it's pretty flat. There's not a lot of trees, making it easier for the animals to move around. Like the wildebeest that are hanging out underneath the trees on the right side. That is one of the big migrators out here on the Savannah. They travel in very large herds. I call it a super herd. And a super herd can be well over 1 million individuals. That herd that's over there is only about 20. So imagine seeing 1 million wildebeest. It's a lot. A lot of gray. You're also going to see some zebras off in the distance. I'll get us closer to them here in a moment. Now, that is one of 6 zebra species. It's called the mountain zebra. And they are really good climbers, hence their name. I know we're in the flat plains of Africa, but they do live near mountains too. Their hooves are actually much harder and tougher than other zebra hooves, making it easier for them to climb. Ooh, on our left side, if you look over by the cave, actually they're scattered around. This is a predator species called the African painted dogs, or African wild dogs. And these are not like your pets, friends. These are a wild animal and are the most successful hunters in Africa. And that's because of their pack mentality and great communication skills. They actually are better hunters than lions, which lions also work together to hunt for food. But the lion's success rate is only 45%. Painted dog's success rate is 80 to 90%. Double that of the lions. I think they're just better at communicating. Also in between the bushes, hard to see, but those are sable antelope on the left. They're the mascot of the reserve. They use their long curved horns to help deter predators from jumping on their backs. And you notice that there's not a whole lot of animals hanging out near those sable antelope. That's because they're territorial. They will kick the other animals out of that area. That's their spot. Alright, we're getting a little bit closer to the zebras, and it looks like some giraffe showed up too, so we'll get a few of them too. Those zebra are coming up on our left side this time. Now, there are ways to tell zebra species apart from one another, and most of the time it's their stripes and other features. For mountain zebra, if you look at their hind legs, the stripes are wider apart compared to their other stripes. Their ears are another way you tell them apart. These zebra have almost donkey-shaped ears, very slender ears. Other zebras, like Grevy zebra, they have very round, satellite-shaped ears. So there's lots of different ways that you tell zebras apart from one another. Now, it looks like a bunch of trucks that are stopped in front of us. There is a giraffe migration happening. So they're literally on the other side of those bushes in front of the trucks. So we're going to hang out here and till those trucks ahead of us move. It's a common occurrence because we're the visitors, friends. This is the animals' homes. They can cross the road if they want to. They have the right of way. We don't force them to do what they don't want to do. Now for the giraffe that we're going to be seeing, this is one of 9 giraffe species. These are called Maasai giraffe. They're named after the great Maasai people in Africa. And the way you tell giraffe apart from one another are the shapes of their spots. Maasai giraffe have very irregular and jagged shaped spots on their bodies. There's a great view of one on the right. And they are very large animals, the tallest land animal. Giraffes on average are between 16 and 18 feet tall. The maximum height they can reach is 20 feet tall. Either way, the adult giraffe that are out here are literally taller than this truck. But even at birth, they're huge. Newborn giraffe are 6 feet tall. For a little comparison on that, where the edge of this truck is, where your arms are laying, that is 6 feet off the ground. That's how tall babies are for giraffe. Now, by the time the baby turns a year old, they almost double in size. Yeah, they grow 6 feet in 1 year. That's a growth spurt. Now, it looks like a giraffe has decided to stop in the road in front of the truck ahead of us. Say, hang here. Now, so while we're hanging out here, waiting for the giraffe to move, look at the landscape as well as these animals. Now, the landscape of the savannah is shaped by these animals, and it's all by what they eat. Personally, I compare these animals to landscapers. For example, the zebras, they're lawnmowers. Zebras primarily eat grasses, and they keep the grasses out here nice and short. Same with the wildebeest and other antelope species. Giraffe, on the other hand, that's the tree trimmer animal out here. Giraffes use that height to their advantage. They're going to eat the leaves off of trees and bushes till they physically can't reach them anymore. And if you look at the trees around us, this is how the trees look this way. This is the giraffes doing. The leaves are at the very tops of the trees where those giraffes can't reach them. Now there's another type of animal that shapes the landscape. We haven't seen this one yet, but I'm hoping we do. That would be the bulldozer animals. Bulldozers are elephants. Elephants are large enough and strong enough to knock trees over. So if you see some large branches knocked over, trees knocked over, that's the elephant's job. And when they do so, it's just to gain access to food at the tops of the trees. But it also makes way for more of the grasses to grow in the savannah. More grass means there's more food for all of these antelope and zebra to eat. Almost like there's a literal circle of life out here. Looks like the giraffe did move out of the way, so we're going to move forward very slowly. Great views of these patterns on both the zebra and the giraffe. They are unique to the individual as well. No two are alike, just like us and our fingerprints. I'm going to get a nice close view of this giraffe on the right side. Really going to see just how tall they are. Literally, like I said, taller than this truck. Also going a little slow because the zebra's crossing in front of us. There we go. Beautiful views of these animals. We're going to go a little bit further into the savannah.
I love when they're
Now, this animal's going to be hard to see, but they're hanging out on top of the hill on the right side. A small antelope called Springbok. They're tan, black, and white. Don't underestimate those tiny antelope, friends. Springbok are one of the most athletic animals here on the savannah. They're fast and they can jump really high for their size. Speed-wise, Springbok can run 55 miles per hour. Jumping-wise, they're only 2 feet tall. But remember I said we're sitting 6 feet up off the ground? Yeah, those Springbok could jump through this truck. And I wish I was joking. They could, but it hasn't happened. So you never know, it could one day. Alright. Now it looks like there's a lot of knocked over trees over here. Maybe there's an elephant up ahead. We're gonna go check it out. Now there is one elephant on the right side. Gonna be kind of hard to see. You do have to look in between the trees. I'll see if I can get us a little bit of a better view though. Elephants are very large animals. They're the largest by weight. And they can weigh anywhere between 10 and 15,000 pounds. That is a big land animal. Yeah, I'm gonna go around and get us a view. The clearing up ahead. Now with elephants, they do live in herds, which are mostly females and their youngsters. However, this elephant is by itself. This is actually normal for male elephants. Yeah, this is a bull. The male elephants, when they reach 15 years old, they leave the herd of females. Sometimes the females even kick them out. And they will actually choose to live this solitary lifestyle. Or sometimes they form small bachelor groups with other male elephants. Have a couple best friends to hang out with. But since we saw a male, we're gonna go look for a herd with females and their youngsters. Now in those herds, the elephants do have a leader. She is called the matriarch. Now she might not be the oldest or even the largest elephant of the group. She's the smartest one. She's going to know all the best places to find food and water and even know their migration patterns. And there definitely is evidence that more elephants are nearby. There's tusk markings in the clay and footprints on the ground. So they can't be too far. Oh, there's one on the left. Now these elephants will eat the clay too, along with those grasses and leaves and fruit. But clay gives them valuable nutrients that they might be missing from just eating all those veggies all day long. They will use their tusks to soften it, making it easier for them to chew. And it looks like these elephants are definitely enjoying their breakfast. So I'm only seeing two. There could be more scattered around. We'll have to keep looking. Elephants are quite hungry animals. They are large, so they do need to eat a lot of food. Some elephants can eat upwards of 300 pounds of food a day. It's a lot of food. There's the rest of the herd. They're scattered around enjoying their breakfast. But on days like today as well, later on they're going to have to protect their skin. Because just like us people, they can get sunburned. So to protect their skin, they use a much more natural form of sunscreen, dirt. They roll around in it and throw it on their bodies using their trunks too. Sometimes even adding grass to that dirt mud mixture for added protection. Kind of like wearing SPF 100. Well, this one's got a little sunscreen on its back. Probably left over from yesterday. Also up ahead, you're going to see lots of flamingos. This species is the greater flamingo. They're the tallest and lightest color pink of all flamingo species. Now, if you do look closely, I'll go around the island, but if you look in between all those pink flamingos, you might see some gray ones. Those are their chicks. They're roughly about 6 months old at this point. They're moving to the other side of the island. Now the gray flamingos, that's the color they are when they hatch from their eggs, and they will turn pink. It comes from their food, brine shrimp. The shrimp contains a protein called beta-carotene. That protein is what turns their feathers pink. Well, looks like we found the warden's post too. Good thing they caught the poachers. Now they unfortunately are becoming more sophisticated, even using night vision to do their bidding. Scientists, though, are doing their part to learn more about these animals and better ways to protect them. For example, in Kenya, farmers were having issues with elephants. Elephants were migrating through their farms and it was destroying their livelihoods, making those farmers angry and poaching the elephants to solve their problem. Well, scientists discovered that the elephants have that sensitive skin. They're also afraid of bees. And I'll continue that story in just a moment because there's some rhinos hanging out in the bushes on the right side. Now those are white rhinoceros. Adults weigh 5,000 pounds. That one's actually her almost 2-year-old right next to her. He's already over 2,000 pounds as a 2-year-old. Almost 2. He'll be 2 in October. Yeah, it looks like they probably just got up. I'll talk more about rhinos in a moment because we're probably going to be seeing some more. Yeah, the elephants, going back to that, they are afraid of bees. So the farmers, or the scientists helped the farmers build a beehive fence to put around their farms. And it worked. Elephants stopped going through the farms and they went around them, avoiding bees entirely. Also gave the farmers another source of income selling honey. Definitely a win-win for both elephants and humans. This next animal's kind of hard to see. They're actually hanging out in the tall grasses way off in the distance, but there are cheetahs over there. They are in the green grasses. They're kind of a tan lumberjack. They're very difficult to see. Great camouflage. But that is the fastest land animal. They can reach a top speed of 70 miles per hour and go 0 to 60 in just 3 seconds. Faster than some cars. Now the thing about cheetahs though is that they are a sprinter, not a marathon runner. So they can only maintain their high speed for about 30 to 40 seconds. Then they have to stop and rest for a couple of hours before they can run again. And now this area is looking pretty promising. This is called a kopie, the rock structure. Kopies are used by a variety of animals as a place to seek shelter or as a territory. They are going to see an antelope hanging out on the left up here. This is a bantabak. They're related to wildebeest. Though they're not really good jumpers, but they climb really well. He's not too worried about those lions that are up on the kopie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now the lions, you're seeing them being awake right now. However, they don't hunt until it's nighttime. Lions are essentially a nocturnal animal. They hunt at night because their vision is better at night and it's much cooler. So they're going to hang around their territory all day long. That's also why the rhinos, the rest of the rhino group, is not worried either. And this is a mom and her baby. That baby rhino is about 7 to 8 months old. Definitely over 700 pounds at this point. Remember, adults are 5,000. So even though that is a small baby compared to mom, that is still a very large animal. Now going back over to those lions, great views of them. The male and females have different jobs. Females are hunters. They're the ones that go out at night and look for food. The male lion, not really much of a hunter. He's a protector. He stays behind and guards the territory as well as the cubs. Or as I like to say, he's a stay-at-home dad. Now there's another young rhino, about the same age as the other baby that we just saw. They are a month apart in age, so one is 7 months, the other is 8 months. So here's another view. This one's covered in mud. Rhinos love the mud. Just like elephants, it protects their skin from being sunburned. And it keeps them cool too. You're also going to catch a glimpse of some eggs on the ground. Those belong to an ostrich. The ostrich is probably hiding in the bushes because I don't quite see her around. But her eggs weigh about 3 pounds each, or 2 dozen chicken eggs. Also going back to those rhinos, we saw quite a lot of those rhinos. That is really good for their population to see all those babies. They are an endangered animal. Their population is 20,000. That sounds like a big number, but it's actually quite small if you think about the size of Africa. They live all across Africa. And the reason their numbers are so low is unfortunately due to poaching of those horns. Scientists found out their horns are made of keratin, the same material your hair and fingernails are made of. It also has no medicinal properties. Now we're at the edge of the reserve now at the warden's post. They're taking care of some animals. These are Nigerian dwarf goats. They're dwarf goats. They won't get much bigger than what you're seeing. They're very playful and friendly, and they love socializing. They're also very useful to the locals for their milk and cheese. Very nutritious and of high value. The locals can sell those products. That does help them to rely less on the wildlife, so they can protect them more too. Alright, and now we're gonna start heading back towards civilization. We saw a lot of animals out there, and unfortunately, a lot of those animals that you did just see are still endangered today. There are ways to help them out. Talk to the villagers about Disney's Conservation Fund. They're a nonprofit that matches dollar for dollar for any amount that you donate, all in the effort to end extinction and to support those conservation efforts around the world. If you want to check out more animals, recommend you go to Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail, just beyond the exit of Kilimanjaro Safaris. That is where you can find some gorillas, colobus monkeys, meerkats, and even naked bull runs. Our stop's also coming up here in a moment, so now's a great time to start looking around your seats, gather up your belongings. Please don't leave anything behind. It's a long way back to Africa. I also do want to thank you all so much for joining me. It has been my pleasure taking you around the reserve. Once again, my name is Jess. Hope you learned one thing new today, but if you do have any other questions, my window's literally always open. Feel free to come up to the front of the truck and ask me. Also, Wilderness Explorers, you have been riding my truck, the Simba 1. And lastly, we don't like saying goodbye. Far too sad and final. Now instead, we use the Swahili phrase, kwaherini, and it means to go well. So kwaherini, my friends, go well, go wild, go make a difference out there in the world, and have a great rest of your day.